Yeah, we will go ahead and get started. We've got just Miss Royce and Mrs. Franzen here, along with Junior Council Person Cyrus Franzen. We are here today for the Infrastructure, Parks, and Public Places meeting. We're going to talk about the road repavement, I can't, what's the proper name of the study? The Pavement Condition Rating Study. Thank you, Mr. Skelly. So the city has been in talks with some contractors to perform this. So Mr. Skelly is going to talk to us a little bit about what that looks like. And so I figure you can go ahead and get started whenever you are comfortable. And I know you've got handouts and stuff too.
Good evening, councilors and member of the So what I'm going to do probably for the next 10 or 15 minutes is talk briefly about the history, the chronology of these sort of studies, and then segue into talking about the substantive nature, why we do it, the importance of the things, and then obviously leave some time for question answers for it. I do have handouts. Obviously, the good thing we don't have a lot of people, but maybe that's just if you want, I can make more. We can distribute or however you think the other councilors might be interested.
I can get it to John and Sam next time we see them.
Okay.
So I can bring it with them with me and just make sure they get it.
Sounds good. So I tried to make it both informative in terms of at least interesting, because again, sometimes people think transportation is kind of boring. So at least the importance of it. So I'm going to start off with the chronology. So at least the last pavement condition rating study that was done was at least 3 or 4 years ago. It was done by a local engineering firm, and I have the document here, and I'll just pass it out to you. So you'll see maps that were prepared, and then the most important thing is essentially is a chart, segment by segment, going through the city's approximately 60 linear miles of streets. It's probably double that when you consider that we have 2 lanes or 4 lanes, et cetera, and then providing for a condition. And I'll talk briefly about that as well. So,
Thank you. Yep, I remember seeing this.
I say this was like where we got the priority list from,
Yes.
right?
yeah.
Which is what they made most urgent.
Yes.
So typically the consultants, engineering consultants will recommend that these things should be done at least every 3 or 5 years. And then it becomes a crucial bit of information that you use as part of both your operating budget, and also the most important thing is the capital budget, because we're talking very expensive infrastructure similar to our water system. So about 6 months ago, I was directed to essentially prepare a detailed request for proposal for doing this. And part of that included spending a little bit more time. That particular one that was circulated did not have too much with regards to estimating the cost for repairs, casting it out, what were more essential, and running different scenarios. So,
Thank you.
So what we did was prepare roughly about 7 pages. It was fairly basic, but looking at what we needed to move forward and doing something a little bit more significant than what you saw in front of you. No slight in terms of the previous consultant, but it was just I was directed to provide a little bit more robust information. So that was done. It was posted, and we received about 5 interested parties for that. 2, and what I learned, there was kind of like, I would say, transportation data kind of software companies that have the technology, and sometimes they provide outfitted vehicle. They drive around the city. It does kind of a laser analysis and takes up the reads and then prepares a report. We also we were more interested in having kind of engineering firms, civil engineering firms that would kind of then interpret that data for us, and then kind of with their experience for road work, give us more detailed guidance than just having the data. So getting back to the PCR, I have 2 executive summaries that you kind of get an idea of what we're thinking of. And And then I also have part of the City of Cincinnati from 2021. This document, the full document, was around 277 pages. Very comprehensive, but you want something like that because it helps explain both the urgency, the nature of it, and part of it to me is the science. So some more handouts. This is the boring part. So there's some, I don't know, 20 or so different sort of road distresses. And essentially, if you flip this over, what the engineers do, evaluate which sort of roads, because of that particular distress, are more urgent. So if it's a spider crack, that can be fixed quite easily and cheaply. For the other ones, they're a little bit more problematic, both for the safety and obviously for cost repairs. So that takes us pretty much to the last handout, which I'll talk a bit more about tonight. And I'll give you kind of the high level explanation. There's 4 pages to this. And I kind of made it a bit like a storyline. So the first thing, what you see on this page is what I would call problem definition. So whether you're a scientist, an engineer, or a physician, you have to diagnose the problem. So in this particular case, I kind of quoted Rudyard Kipling for that. You go through what, why, when, all those type of things, and then you can see the biggest thing. So the what, we discussed the term pavement condition rating analysis, and it looks at the various sort of distresses, and then it provides a score from 1 to 100, and that's based on that those 2 handouts with regards to what weight, rank, and all that stuff. And then there's something also called the International Roughness Index. And believe it or not, they have a kind of a modified suspension system. It goes around at various speeds, and it calculates, okay, you may have a very smooth road, but that there might be underlying issues with it. And sometimes the two don't necessarily correlate. So it gives you a little bit more data-intensive feedback as to what the condition of the roads are. And sometimes maybe someone says, well, the road's fine, but it just feels terrible. So, I think ultimately we can discuss what takes priority. Why are we doing it? Well, like I said, the analogy, the best in terms of you have to have good diagnosis must occur before you want to fix it. So these things are rather complex, even though they have evolved now to kind of the data analytics. You still need professionals such as civil engineers to go through it and help the clients, in our case, a municipal government, to kind of weed through it. So kind of a quick calculation. I did so a couple of years ago when we spent, or at least ODOT with regards to repairing State Road 561 Smith Road. That worked out to, if you would do it by linear mile, 2.7 million. And through other studies I've seen on the cheap, we're going to probably, let's say, assuming $3 million per road if you would do almost full depth reclamation and rebuild it. So the quick math, multiplying it by the rough 60 miles that we have, then over $180 million worth of assets. And that doesn't include the stormwater and other things, sidewalks, the curbing.
Mains, yeah.
Very, very
So
basic.
only about 7 times our entire general fund. So really not a big deal is what you're saying.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Numbers are important, but this is where having a good data, a good study will help bolster where we take this.
Right.
So, and again, hence the need for doing this. So in itself, it's a good first step, but we'll be discussing more with regards to the calculations, and that's what I mentioned in the 4th paragraph. Will be second and third steps when we do this. When I put as soon as possible, because obviously it's been a few years since we had it, and this particular study will be much more robust, more in depth.
And I know just from personal observation, this winter seemed really, really rough, not only on our roads, but pretty much all the like.
Correct, and
rolls
it was
around.
a very bad year
Yeah.
for that, just with the temperature fluctuations, the rain, everything. So
Yep.
it naturally occurs, but it's like we're suspect to, and again, in our climate, more than, let's say, if you would be a more temperate.
Right.
How, again, those are the last two, how and who. So basically, it'll be city administration. The RFP is done. We're going through it right now, probably in a week or so. We'll have a good sense. We'll be interviewing the people, what they have to offer, what they do over and above, and what's their expertise. And at this point, we have called in at least two of the engineering firms to be helpful. So that was part of the problem definition. And if you flip over that first page, you'll see kind of two charts. And having gone through this for the last, 4 to 6 months, I would see it in a lot of the reports. And it was something where the engineers would use this as a quick factoid. And essentially, it's showing the relationship on the left column of the rating for the road, and the bottom part represents the time frame for the typical lifespan for a road. So if we assume 20 or 25 years, how does that work for the deterioration of the road, the money that has to go to it? And essentially, the relationship is that as you wait longer, the expense, the type of distress will increase, and hence will be much more expensive.
Yes.
So with the one on top, where the baseline they use, they call it pay now or pay later, and I kind of use that as the title. So it's either pay a little now, pay a lot later. And I put another example from Lancaster, California, and they went into, again, the typical thing. So after first 5 or 10 years, there's precipitous drop in the quality of the road. So if you're not already by year 10 handling a lot of the good maintenance, and you're approaching year 15 or year 20, highly likely we're looking about full depth reclamation, which is the most expensive. So that's something you'll see consistently, even the sample reports I threw out. The third page essentially is a bit of a quote from both Governor Devine and also for the Ohio Municipal League. And essentially, they're just talking about why these things are important. So sometimes people say, well, why are you spending $40,000 or $50,000 on the study? Well, like I said, if we would cast out just the cost for this particular infrastructure that we have on the cheap, we're talking $180 million. So it provides a history, depending on where you are, economic climate, the revenues bringing in. There's always the need sometimes to defer increase, but it's sometimes at what cost and what point. So essentially the quotes that's provided there brings that to the attention. And again, it's not something that, okay, we're just studying for the sake of it. That's why numerous documents, in this case, the Federal Highway Administration provides that, and it's near the top. Again, talking about why you have to do good analysis up front. And then the last part, and purely I kind of, as a planner, why it's important, because when I heard about the study and I was kind of tasked to write it up, to me it was almost like I was almost crying with happiness, because it was one of these things where a lot of times we talk about comprehensive planning or studies, and why do we need this data? Why can't, like, I know the road's bad, but again, stressing the importance of this, it gives us the data, it helps us evaluate, it helps distinguish, and we can make a priority as to what we've done. So in the perfect world, some of this would be done already. We would have the comp plan. Some analysis would be done, maybe not as thorough as a separate PCR study, but it goes into our mindset. Oh, we already have, and again, I'm going to use the word program because it's a behavior. It's a good management tool. So every year we'll put some money for operation and maintenance and maybe a little bit more for capital. And that's determined on what the condition of the roads are. So again, this will help both administration and council really hopefully plan for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years and further as to what is the impact, what do we need, what do our businesses, what do our residents need, and ultimately, what can we pay for and what can we accomplish. So that's about it for the presentation, and
Great.
I'm happy to answer any more questions, or if you guys need further analysis or explanation, I can probably get that for you.
No, I think this is a great start and great to have this information because, yeah, like you said, people are like, well, we already know the roads are bad. But for me, it's like if I know I have something wrong with me, like I'm unhealthy, I still need to go to the doctor and have them tell me what exactly is wrong with me. Because if I have cancer, it's a lot different than if I have a cold, for instance.
Correct. Yeah.
So, yeah, that I'm excited to see this take shape. And I hope that magically somehow it's under $180 million, but no matter what it is, I want it'll be good to have that information so we can make effective planning for the long term.
Correct. And again, this is where it's not just the engineers leading it and we decide. In the RFP, I also asked, well, can we also have associated, what are the traffic counts? What type of road? Is it a local collector? Is it a cul-de-sac? Is it a major collector for moving people? And
Yeah, like Cleveland is a lot different than Williams.
correct. Yeah. And ultimately, sometimes, and people might have a more affinity for one road versus the other, but that's probably where ultimately council, senior administration can decide, okay, despite what the PCR rating might be, it might be very pressing, but this road still takes precedent for a number of other reasons.
Yeah, it's not like a cut and dry, this is the worst road, so we have to do this first.
Yeah.
I think Lincoln is actually a great example of that,
Yes.
which is being repaved 1 street away from me right now. It's not a very traveled road,
But
but I would argue it was the worst road in Norwood the whole time I've lived here.
and it needed extensive water main repair.
Yes.
Correct. And I know
so it
from,
made sense that Smith got paved first because we have,
Yeah.
other
Well,
factors to consider.
correct.
Yeah.
And even from what I learned a couple of years ago, so I don't know how many we get or what's usually, I know they're resolved, but we do get sometimes claims for people dealing with, let's say, a bent rim or something, or so that comes
And then
into
that
our
costs
life.
money.
Yeah. So again, it's time, it's money, it's the frustration, the hassle. So hopefully, again, smooth roads. Obviously, we have a reputation for that.
But I hope that in 15, 20 years, our reputation will be the smoothest roads in the Cincinnati area.
Yeah.
We can hope.
I heard that's why people are so mad now because they used to be.
Ah,
That's what I've been told.
that would make sense.
Yes.
And I would not be surprised. But thank you so much. I'm going to give the handouts. Also, I heard from Mr. Moore, he got caught up at work. So I said, hey, don't worry. This is just a brief meeting. This is more of a, hey, this is going to happen. We're going to have more information later on that's actually
Correct.
going to be more
And what I would
relevant.
ask as a favor is that maybe we have each time, just let me know, send out the agenda or give me a week before, because I think as we get into the thick of it, this is kind of a great platform. Again, there's one person, but we can start talking and working through because, once the public's aware, and even have like some municipalities where they would post a video, okay, hey, when you see this truck going around, it might look like those Google camera trucks, but it's actually doing something specific for us.
Yeah, I think that will be a good, it shows people that obviously they all know that we're aware of the roads too, but it shows that we are taking the city is taking concrete steps to get to a fix for hopefully as many roads as we
long-term
can, as quickly
fix.
as we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, and these are great handouts. I'll give it to John and Sam. And just for the record, Sam, Mrs. Bowling was going to be here too, but she hurt her back. So kind of a confluence of two. But luckily, I brought my son to replace them.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. But we'll move on to the next
quorum.
thing. We have quorum.
We have
Yeah.
baby
Do you
quorum.
want your computer?
Oh no, I couldn't log in. It's shut down. So no worries. I know. Well, the next thing we have on the agenda is a little bit about parks. So we have park. Sit down again now that he's quiet. So we have. It's fine. I was just gonna get the FRP out. So and Mr. Skelly made me a copy, so we're good.
Okay.
The next thing on the agenda was Tower Park. Just wanted to give a brief update because we had repaving of the old tennis court up there. Currently, what it will become is kind of in process. There's been talk of we could put a pickleball court here. We could put just a place for kids to go run around and bike safely. So we're open to whatever happens, whatever residents want to use. I want them to do it. And we have a resident here who is near another lovely park, Marsh Park. And she just wanted to learn more about what we are doing with the park. So I'm going to grab the FRP just so I can talk about what we have in here. And I'll give this to you, actually.
Not to put you on the spot, Molly,
Yeah,
but we met before this started. Did you come to, I believe it was 2 springs ago, we did a daffodil planting at Marsh Park? We planted 1,700 daffodils. Are they popping up? That was the important question. Okay, good. I know like most of them came, well, not most, but a lot came up last year, but it's hard to like fathom what 1,700 daffodils would look like. That was actually Councilwoman Hoover's big push was to do that because, are you familiar with the history of Marsh Park?
No, I actually am a newer resident.
You're newer?
So
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm getting the full.
Do you want to dive into your stuff?
Yeah, I'll do this real quick, and then
Okay.
I can give you a kind of update on Marsh Park once we're done with this. So, Marsh Park right now, the thing that is explicitly set out for it is $20,000 for a sidewalk replacement on the street side, which I know that sidewalk's a bit
This is in front of Marsh Park, or this is the other pickup?
in front of Marsh.
Okay.
Yes, that is one thing that is explicitly budgeted for, but we also have some other improvements happening, other things that are budgeted for right now, and this is just in the capital improvements planning worksheet. I know, it's going to be amazing. They're going to be improving Victory Park with some landscape mounds and new concrete pads and outdoor gaming tables as well. So that's this year. So yeah, this fiscal year, which I guess starting now through next June. It's always so, like I say this year, like, well, it didn't happen until 2026. That's still this year. Don't worry about it. But we are, oh my gosh. But yeah, anyone who is listening and maybe can hear me still, if you would like to see kind of what the city has kind of planned for this year, next year, we have that planning worksheet. And this is not like set in stone. We don't have a contractor that's like, we are already on the hook for $20,000 for this particular project. This is a planning worksheet of like, these are things that we know we need to do at the parks. Like for instance, Northwoods this year, they're replacing the shelter door and bathroom doors because they're pretty broken. So there's some basic maintenance stuff. Then there's some improvements. I know, and lighting updates at Tower Park. So, but yeah, and this is just city funds. There are often outside funds from nonprofits or the state or municipalities that we can use to do specific improvements for parks, especially if residents are like leading the way and being like, we want this. And we're like, I want to provide that as
we
much
will
as
help, yeah.
we will accommodate. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of what the parks department stuff is going on now. We have some other stuff forecast in the future, but yeah, I'll give you this after the meeting's done and we can kind of talk through and talk about Marsh Park. Yeah, there's Tower Park. The only other thing on the agenda was just general discussion, and I don't know if you had anything, Alexis.
I don't have anything major to add. I think everyone knows what we're working on. It always feels like we're doing like 1,000 things at once.
Yeah.
I think Susan brought up, just since it's the Parks Committee, Councilwoman Hoover brought up at our last council meeting on Tuesday that Representative Landsman submitted, the way like federal funds work, he submitted a proposal for $1.2 million of federal dollars to go to Doral Field. So hopefully we will get that. We were hoping to get it before, and then all funds were stopped by our federal government.
Yes.
So we're hoping they will say yes one more time and actually do it this time.
Yes.
So-
Basically, they said yes, and then they said, "Oh, just kidding.
Just kidding.
We're
Just
not
kidding."
passing that budget."
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So
It is,
1.2 million would be great.
that would be for Doral Field specifically.
Yes.
And that would be like adding, I think, some more parking, adding more trees, making it's not going to change it more from being like a field, like a play field.
Yeah.
It's just going to improve it, basically.
Improve it in general.
And for me, really important thing would be replacing some of those older trees, which a lot of people who love trees have already planted some, but even more is great. So
What kind of trees were sick that we had to cut down before? I apologize. Oaks, yes.
yeah, oaks are the best.
We had giant oaks
We
that
had
were
giant
very
oaks,
beautiful.
and they were unfortunately not
were
doing
sick.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have a lot of aging, beautiful trees that are unfortunately nearing the end of their lifespan. So we want to try to get ahead of that. So some folks actually
Our tree board.
on the tree board, Donna Lake and the other ladies on the tree board planted some oaks in Victory Park, and they're looking great. So I hope that we continue. Oh no! Oh no!
But
Yeah. One more update, and then we'll be done. I know.
you handled it well.
My son bonked his head.
You're all right.
I'm entering this into the record. Oh no. South Jefferson is going to be completely redone, like new water main, changing from a 4-inch water main to an 8-inch water main, new resurface. I think it's a full depth repair as well. And as we just heard, those are very expensive. So
Yeah.
it was originally supposed to happen earlier this year, but we had to get, I think, some different funding sources. We had a 50-50 match for that. Lincoln is on the way to being done. Rolston is getting done as well. And Ware,
I think you might win.
oh no, Ware is going to be improved in advance of the new development at the old Allison School site. So anyway, that's what's happening in infrastructure right now. There are more things coming down the pipe, but we have to find funding sources for them. As you heard, or if you don't know, our general fund is about between 25 and 30 million total. So about 2/3 of that goes to the fire and police, which do a great job. But that means we have to kind of stretch our money by finding other funding sources, kind of putting down some money, and then we get some money in return. So that's how we get a lot of our streets paved, almost all of our streets paved, actually. That and local government funds, local government funds, ODOT funds for Smith Road and for Montgomery. So there's always a bunch of different funds to manage, and I don't envy the administrators that have to deal with those grants, but I do appreciate them. Anyway, I guess that is probably it. So we're at 7:05. Great, 35 minutes. Love that. But thank you so much for coming, Mr. Skelly.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you, Steve, in the back.
very
And thanks,
informative.
Molly, for coming. But I guess we are done.